Hey guys, it's Mitch. How's it going? Alright, so this is a book that I put off for a little while because I figured it was going to be bad. And now that I've read it, I think I can safely say that I've got pretty good instincts. So today we're going to take a look at Union number 1. But just before we get into it, if you enjoy the channel, if you feel like you might want to help out a little bit, go subscribe on my Patreon. Gives you early access to everything I do, helps the channel, and helps to buy new comics. Okay, so this is another second generation Image book. So this is June of 1993. The company's been around for a little over a year at this point. And in addition to the founder books, we've had, Pitt, Max, Trencher, Tribe, Shaman Series, all that stuff, where they're starting to lure some other creators over from the big two. And I mean, that's kind of understandable given that now they've seen that the company isn't going to immediately implode, which was probably a bit of a concern. Like, can they even get organized enough to get a book out? Oh, they can? Okay, cool. Are they making decent money? Well, they certainly are. Can they get a few books out? Yes, it certainly seems like they can. Not necessarily on time, but they can do it eventually. And now a year later, I mean, all of the Image guys have kind of made a bit of a small fortune, and the company is still pretty solid. So it's kind of a signal to other creators like, yeah, no, come over here and make a shit ton of money. So yeah, we've seen Dale Keown, Sam Keith, Heath Giffen all jump ship, and this time it's Mark Texeira. And this one is going to be written by Mike Heisler, which is weird. I have seen his name before as a letterer. I don't believe he's ever written anything for Image before, and he probably shouldn't write anything after this. So in the credits here, it says the Union character is co-created by Mike Heisler and Jim Lee. So I guess that's why he's the writer. I mean, I don't think that's good enough personally, but without knowing anything about the particulars of the relationship between Mike Heisler and Jim Lee, I'm going to go ahead and guess that they knew each other before Image, and this is another branded choice situation where he's just kind of getting his buddies paid, which is fine. I would very much like to see the disparity, though, in the print runs between Union number 1 and Union number 3. I guess I can quit with the Union joke now, but I really don't want to. So, why don't we start with the cover on this thing? Holy shit. Way back when I did my top 5 Image covers of 1993, this one made the list, I think, pretty high for many reasons. Like, the drawing itself is good. I love the chromium stuff. I'm always a big fan of the shiny covers. Union himself looks like an insane space pirate. And in that top 5 video, I did say the purpose of a good cover is to get you to look over and go, what the fuck? And that is exactly what this cover does. Like, look how much black is in that figure. That's not a superhero. That guy's got a spine collection. Okay, so nothing that particularly stands out in the credits on this one, except for this one credit down here, because they give some special thanks to a few people, including Sam Keith, and then at the bottom, special thanks to John Neef for nothing in capitals. Which, the way Image works, I would think is a joke, but it doesn't read like one. It reads like a big fuck you. So the main draw on this one is Mark Texeira. Mark Texeira, of course, kind of made a name for himself at Marvel Comics. He worked on a few things. I know he was in Marvel Comics Presents at least for a while, but the big ones would have been Ghost Rider and Wolverine, I think. And I feel like those two books made him into more of a name, and this probably solidified that. I mean, I don't think too many people bought the entire series, but there was certainly a lot of promotion for this book when it first came out. And the thing about Mark Texeira is that he has a very dark, scratchy style, in some ways similar to somebody like Frank Terran, that would be great for, like, a horror comic, well, specifically, or a crime comic. I could see it being like a dark fantasy thing, or Conan. That would work too. What it wouldn't be too good for, I don't think, would be a superhero comic. So we're going to start things off here in the small rural town of Chichester, which is in upstate New York, and it's as all-American small town as you can get, where people play baseball, or fish with their dads, or go on picnics and shit. But that was yesterday, and this is today. And today, the town is a large smoking crater. And there's a fair amount of exposition here to basically say that Stormwatch are investigating the explosion. I guess this is right around the same time that Stormwatch are first showing up too, maybe like a couple of months later. And they're investigating some sort of energy signature that's linked with this giant smoking crater. And then we get a close-up on Battalion. A great expression, a lot of nice shadow. With a what, who the hell are you? And he goes, my name is Union. And again, that is not a superhero. That's a guy who escaped from a psych ward and found a costume. And a battalion immediately places him under arrest. Because Winter, who absorbs energy, has determined that Union's energy signature is exactly the same as the energy signature linked to the explosion. And Union's going to try and plead his innocence, saying, no, I was coming to help. And well, that's great, except that we were looking for a dude who's flying around with this energy signature. And then you just show up. So I think we at least need to question you a little bit. I know Mark Texeira also did a Sabretooth miniseries. I think that would probably fit pretty well. I wonder if that's worth checking out. I should check that out someday. All I know is that so far, it's making this book weird and creepy. So from Union arguing with Battalion, we're going to cut to 6 months earlier, which is a terrible idea, where Jill here is living in Old Town in Maine. Not the same Old Town that's in Sin City, I guess. There's plenty of old towns in the States. And she's thinking about how cold it is. And the river's frozen, and thank God I've got a fireplace instead of like electric baseboards. And it's like, what, why do we care about this? The cold doesn't have anything to do with anything. Anyway, she notices this green comet falling towards Earth, and it hits right by her house, and big explosion. I love Mark Texeira's style. I like the way this woman looks. I haven't seen any reason in the first 7 pages so far to give a shit about this book. So she waits for the crash, and when there's no crash, looks out the window, and the dude's floating there, and then he just kind of flops to the ground. Weird shot of the girl. The eyes are way too big. Almost looks like a doll or something. So naturally, she goes out to investigate. I guess he flopped down onto some frozen ice on the lake. So she's got to rope him in here, and then she's going to bring him back to her house. And then within the flashback, because remember, this is a flashback, he kind of flashes back. I guess it's more of a dream sequence too. This seems to be his partner, or... Yeah, and she's all like, haven't you heard the war is over? And we can be together and all that stuff. Only then the dream turns into burning, and he wakes up and he's beside the fireplace. And still nothing interesting has happened in this comic. And so they're going to spend a whole lot of talking to let us know that he's fighting in a war, and he's from either another planet or another reality. Hard to say. And he's not familiar with this Earth. So he reads a shit ton of books, and apparently he's aware of color theory, because he critiques Jill's abstract expressionist stuff. And still, nothing has happened. So some more time passes. He tells her a little bit about the war and how he has to get back. And she's sad that he's got to get back, because he's handsome, probably. And then she takes him out to a lake or something so that he can show off his powers, it seems like. So he gets into his Union suit, and with Mark Texeira drawing him, he kind of looks like a Batman villain. And, pulls out his energy staff and flies around a little bit. And then flies Jill around, and then she's all, oh my god, you actually can fly. And then way more talking about him finally remembering how he got here, where he was attacked by lightning, and he used his Justice Stone, which is the glowy thing on his chest, to shield himself from the lightning. And somehow the combination ripped a hole in space and brought him here, to what he considers an alternate universe. So at least that's why he looks human. That's something. And he's going to have to, look for a way to get home. And she's all like, no, I don't want you to go. And then she smooches him. Because he's handsome, remember? And all the drawings are nice. But, we're halfway through this book, and there has never been a reason to care up until now. So, more talking. They're eating out at a bar or something. And the news comes on, and some guys who kind of look like Union have been filmed on the news, and only they have red glow sticks, so they're the Sith version. So those are the Directorate. I believe Union is part of the Protectorate. Yep, that is it. I was thinking, oh man, that's probably not what it is. I probably just remember it as a rhyming thing. Nope. So Union has to confront them. I kind of wish there was something to talk about on these pages, but there's nothing cool happening. And Mark Texeira is not going out of his way to draw anything spectacularly. There's no weird panel designs or anything. It's all very straightforward. It's done in his kind of usual sketchy style, but he's not pushing the envelope on anything. So, Union's going to fly off to investigate where these Directorate soldiers have been spotted. And where they were spotted was Chichester, which was the town we saw at the beginning of the comic before this flashback. If you recall, this is a flashback. So now we're getting back to Union talking to Stormwatch. So apparently when Union got to Chichester and he tracked down some of the Directorate peoples, it turned out that it was more than just a couple of them. It turned out that they'd actually infiltrated quite a bit of the town. And once they'd been discovered, they basically self-destructed themselves. And that was what destroyed the entire town. Battalion's like, if that's the case, how did you get out? And Union's like, well, I made my Union shield. He's like, that's very convenient. And I agree, it is. So he's like, how can I convince you that I'm on the level? He's like, well, you can hand over this Justice Stone thing. That would go a long way. And I don't think he can. I think it's stuck to him. So Battalion takes that as a reason to attack and shoots at Union. And oh, it looks like we got a Stormwatch fight. Union deflects the shot from the gun and goes, I'm not trying to fight you guys, like, just calm down and everything. And then Diva attacks him with the Sonic Scream thing. And he kind of shoots her out of the sky. And then Fuji comes in to take a swipe at him. And right then, Battalion gets word from the Red Cross, because they're also at the site. They're doing their Red Cross thing and trying to help the injured and maybe do some evacuating, that kind of thing. So, yeah, they radio to Battalion. So he needs to stop their dumb little fight and go over to the other side of the crater. So they all go. They're not particularly worried about leaving this guy who has the similar power signature to the explosion that went off. And Union's just like, yeah, no, go ahead. I don't want to fight in the first place. Good face. Mark Texeira always draws a good face. All right, so they make their way over. That's kind of a silly shot. That looks like the opening to the cartoon. Not that there was a cartoon, but if there was, that's what it would look like. So the emergency is that some Red Cross workers found a couple of children in the basement of a collapsed house, but when they moved in their heavy equipment to clear the wreckage, the whole surrounding area started caving in around the kids, threatening to bury them for good. Like, how is Diva going to help in this situation? Or Hellstrike, for that matter. So Fuji starts clearing out some of the rubble. Battalion puts a telekinetic shield around the kids to try and keep them from sinking any further. So that's kind of cool. And then, because Fuji's so friggin' big, he also crashes through the dirt here, which puts extra strain on Battalion's shield. And Hellstrike offers to set things on fire. And Union's like, no, we don't know what kind of gases are in the area. So he's going to have to do some Union-y stuff to try and fix this. This is a bit more interesting, at least. We got some action going on, as opposed to, like, condensing Starman to 12 pages like we had previously. So Hellstrike and Union are going back and forth. Battalion's like, that's enough. Okay, if you can do something to help, then do something to help. So Union uses his glow stick to create a tunnel at an angle to the basement, instead of trying to just dig them out from the top. And then he flies down the tunnel, and there's a second where he's underground, and then he flies out with Fuji and just, like, explodes dirt everywhere. And there was a second here when I was reading this, it's like, wait a minute, did he not bother with the kids? Oh, wait, no, there they are. Okay, good. That would have been pretty funny, though. So Stormwatch and Union now, they're okay. They're on decent terms. And at the bottom of the hole Union made when he punched his way out, there seems to be something metal reflecting down there. Union doesn't know what it was, so Battalion's like, then you won't mind if we go down and check it out. He goes, no, by all means, please do. So afterwards, because we don't see that either, Battalion and Union have a little talk. Battalion tells Union that they didn't find anything down there. It looks like it was maybe supposed to be prepping for something, but whatever they were prepping for never got there. And then at the end of it, like I said, they're on decent terms, but Battalion doesn't like that he doesn't have any way to identify Union here. And Union responds by going, wait a minute, I know something. I saw these on your TV crime dramas. Take my fingerprints. And he holds his thumb up, only it doesn't really look like that. It looks like he strokes Battalion's cheek. Like, it's a good drawing of a thumb, good drawing of a face. I don't know. He probably should have spaced those out a little bit more. Like, just show Union giving a thumbs up to the camera. That would have been all right. He's kind of portrayed a little dopey in this anyway. I think it would have worked. Okay, and then later on that night, Union returns to Jill. She wasn't expecting him to come back. She figured he'd, just kind of fuck off to his other dimension. Or get killed by all the directorate people that he was looking for. And he explains what happened with the directorate. That it turned out it wasn't just a few, it was actually hundreds of them. They've been coming here for years, passing themselves off as citizens of the town. And when they learned that he discovered them, he assumed that he was a protectorate scout, and they destroyed themselves. So that's all something, but that's like another thing that we don't actually see. It's like most of the plot development in this book happened off camera. And they just kind of talk forever. Don't really say a whole lot of much of anything. And then elsewhere, high above the earth, floats an object that to even the most sophisticated detection... Okay, fuck it. Satellite. On the satellite is a dude. He's a purple dude. His name is Regent. I think he shows up later in Stormwatch, actually. Didn't we cover that? I think that was like Stormwatch number 3. Yeah, that looks like it was him, all right. And yeah, kind of poorly drawn in comparison. And I remember being kind of impressed by Scott Clark back in the day. He did get better. He did get better. So yeah, he's shortly going to become a Stormwatch villain, so I guess not a Union villain. Maybe he'll be both. I mean, Union is a 4-issue series. Theoretically, something should be happening in this. Oh, man. We're all the way back at Wildcats number 5. That's crazy. And this, I thought this would be some kind of behind-the-scenes thing. It's mostly apologizing. Like, they announced the letter column contest. They missed a bunch of credits on the inside front cover, so they got to put that in here now. And they also apologized for the book being late. I guess it was probably solicited for, I don't know, April or March or something. It's like, okay, that's not the best way to start off. And we get an ad for the Max number 5. That's a pretty good cover, with all the shit just flying out everywhere. Yeah, so that's it for Union number 1. Yeah, man, that comic blows. It's like 60% backstory that is told in a boring way. And I think I got to put a bit of onus on Mark Texeira there. Most of it's got to go to Mike Heisler, I'm quite sure. But Mark Texeira didn't go out of his way to draw anything goofy or weird, other than, Space Pirate Union. So it does feel like he's going through the motions a little bit. I mean, this isn't his character, so this is basically just work for hire, only for a different company. So then, I don't really blame Mark Texeira for that then. Dude's just doing his job. This is what happens when you don't hire writers. And you hire letterers to fucking come up with your stories. We don't get the investigation of the town and the big explosion. We don't get the investigation of the little tomb underneath. Both of which could have been kind of interesting. Instead, we get kind of a pointless fight between Union and Stormwatch. And then all sorts of boring. I'll read Union number 2 and see if it's worth coming back to. I kind of doubt it. It still looks good. Like, that's one thing you never have to worry about with Mark Texeira, is that the book's going to look great. Man, that thing's like, his torso is like way too big for those legs. Maybe that is worth going back to. But, yeah. Like I said, I'll read it and I'll decide whether it's worth going over. So that's going to do it for this one. Thanks very much for watching. If you like this video, please hit like, hit subscribe, hit the notifications so you know when the next one's coming out. Go over and subscribe on my Patreon. It gives you early access to everything I do, from the Blood Force stuff to the YouTube videos before they get uploaded to YouTube, as well as some Patreon exclusive content. You can also follow me on Instagram and DM me there for commissions, and you can join the Blood Force Discord server. But yeah, that's going to do it. Thanks again for watching. I'll see you guys in the next one. Unya!